One of the differences between Golang and maybe some other languages that you're probably used to from an automation perspective, like PowerShell or like Python, is the fact that Golang is procedural based, which means you know how, like, when you're working in Python, for example, and you maybe have classes and you initiate those classes and you create objects. You could do the same thing in PowerShell and C Sharp and in a lot of different languages. That's called object oriented programming. But with Go, it's all function based. So if you're used to like standard functions in PowerShell, for example, where you have your function keyword and then you define your functions and then you have multiple functions, it's kind of similar. So what we're going to take a look at in this video is purely from a functional perspective and also how to call functions from different functions and stuff like that using the main function. Let's jump right in. So this is a function that we were using in the previous video for variables. And what we did was we were able to call this function in the main function, which means that if the main function runs, this function will automatically spit out some value. So if we just open up the terminal here, and we're going to go into tutorial, and then we're going to type in go run main.go. So now what this is going to do is this is going to print out 1 and 2. So let's get rid of this. And in import, let's import in OS. So what we're going to do with OS is we're actually going to be calling some args that we can pass in at runtime. So within the main function, we're going to type in, let's see, hello, and that's going to equal OS args 1. And then from here, we're going to save this, and then we're going to get an error here saying that hello is declared, but it's never used. So we're going to get rid of this here, and we're going to pass in hello as a parameter. Now, what actually happens? Well, it says that it's undefined. So instead of passing it in as a variable, maybe we could pass it in right down in the print. Well, what happens when we try to do that? It still actually says that it's undefined. So what that means is it's not available in this function. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to actually define this variable. And we can simply do that by typing in var hello. And then if we highlight this, we're going to see that it's unexpected new line and it's expecting a type. So we're going to type in string here, and then nope, we're going to type it in right after, because remember that hello, and then you have to do a type afterwards versus doing the type in the beginning. So typically in a lot of languages, you'll do like var and then the type and then the variable, but it's the opposite with Go. So I've shown a few different errors here and we fixed them on the fly. And I kind of want to say why we see those errors in Go. So a lot of the different things that I tried in this video, like passing it at runtime or putting it in the parameter, like we were still getting errors there and syntax bugs. So if we tried to run it, the compiler would essentially yell at us. And the reason why is because Go operates a little bit differently. So one of the famous things that everybody says, I think, is that, Go operates like C, but writes like Python. So as you can see, as you can tell, that can get kind of, confusing. So what we're going to do is we're going to completely remove that. And we're going to now see that it's undefined. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in hello, and then we're going to type in the type. So now we don't see these errors here anymore. And now we just have to type in that hello parameter right in where Go learners is. So that's going to be the parameter, and then the parameter is also defined here. So we have to put it in both places since we're calling the function from the main function. So now what happens if I run go run main.go? Well, we're going to get an error, and it's going to say main exit status 2, and it's essentially saying that it's out of range. So what does this mean? Well, it means because we have one parameter that we're supposed to be passing in at runtime, and we're not doing that. So if we do this and we say world, now we see that it prints out world. Or better yet, we could say hello, comma, run that again, and then it's going to print out hello world. So this is essentially how you can call functions from other functions and then also call different parameters and different OS arguments to run at runtime. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you again next time.